bus rounds the corner. It's another year, another proud child whose sorrow stands unspoken. They know she's leaving to survive. If somebody wants to be somebody. Hey, yes, people, smash that like button. Subscribe to the podcast here, because tonight we are going to be counting down here in Tony Talks Trash About Music the great music from Mary Christine Brockett, born March 5th, 1956, died December 26, 2010, known professionally as the great voice, the golden voice of soul music, Miss Teena Marie, Miss Lady T. Probably my favorite singer from in that genre of music from that period of time. Just absolutely her duets with Rick James throughout this discography that we're going to talk about, and her own direction, her own talent, all the instruments that she played, and the writing that she did in and out of different combinations. She just had a great voice. I mean, a lot of people obviously thought she was African American because she completely worked in the soul industry, R&B industry. She marketed herself that way, and started off, of course, in on Gordy Records, the same era that that Rick James, and she kind of came in with, under the Rick in a way, kind of, it looked like Rick was shepherding her in, but that's really kind of not the truth. She had already been signed, I think, to the label by the time that Rick had seen her. She was a lead singer of a band with her longtime friend Mickey Boyce at the time, and she was attending Venice High School, and really got it good. They moved to Venice, California, and she spent a lot of time with that. And anyway, Hal Davis came in and talked to his label boss Barry Gordy, impressed with singing but having no need for musical groups, signed her as a solo act. She moved on. She had her debut release here, and Rick James, involved. Wild and Peaceful came out, and so it took off. And so she ended up with Gordy and did a series of records for Gordy for a while. Things didn't work out after a while. She made it to CBS. Had a little bit of a stop-start at the beginning, but then had enormous success with Star Child and what happened after that, and made a series of records. Then, unfortunately, at some point after the Epic era, she kind of fell out of the major, tried to do her own thing for a short while, and then came back, through this Cash Money Records, and really started selling records, and still was really successful on the R&B charts. But she had at some point, at some point she suffered an accident here. She ended up suffering a head injury in 2004. In 2004, she's asleep in a hotel room. Now get this. This piece falls off the ceiling and hits her in the head when she's sleeping. My God, it's a lawsuit. What in the world was she doing to cause that? Did somebody vibrate it off there? Was she like jamming the music so hard but she was passed out? I don't think so. It wasn't like that at that time, but she was found dead then at her Pasadena home in 2010. She'd been making some music before. She was a godmother to Maya Rudolph and Nona Gay, Marvin Gaye's daughter, and it's just a crying shame. But I think one of the great voices. And again, as she faded out, she still had some success. If you look at this R&B chart, I mean, people didn't forget her. She came back even after a 10-year hiatus. What was great was, and I'll point out here later, one of her records that she had in the middle period here was a big hit for the Fugees, and that royalty payment, la da dee la da da, not a dee la da, I mean ooh la la la, and then they made they changed it, put the Fuji word into something, Fuji la or some kind of thing like that. But anyway, but that's what happened in 1996. So that kind of was a deal, and she rose. She took some time off and then ended up coming back in 2004. But let's talk about these. Let's talk about these records now, and how I like them. I don't have all of them on vinyl because a lot of them aren't on vinyl. She is a massively big CD deal with it. So let me see what I got here. Let me see if I got these in the right order. I think I do. Yes, I do. So it's funny. It just kind of stop. It just kind of stops with her. But anyway, um, let's talk about Lady T, man. Her voice, it's really incomparable. I mean, when she say like Diana Ross and these people are artists, this girl belts it, man. This girl's a belt now. I played with a girl, Eva Cassidy in Washington D.C., who had that same kind of ability, who could really belt it out. We played like all the Aretha Franklin stuff. This was the same thing. Let's talk about Let's talk about what we're doing. We're going to talk about 1994. We're going to lead it off here with there's a 13 records here. We're not going to count again any of the live records or any of the compilations or things like that, or any of the things that were bootleg. And I'm not counting the beautiful record that was released after her death, 3 years after her death. Her daughter completed. So about 1994's Passion Play. She was really in a tough spot at that point. Marie and Doug Grisby did it. It parted ways with Epic. Her last record, Ivory, really didn't do well, and it seems like it's okay, but you've got a combination with Lenny Kravitz on here, a Linda Jones record. It's just not good. It's one of these again, too many songs, 14 songs now. You've got featuring Yo-Yo Sweet on You, which was an okay though, slow grind. But some of these, she's sharing writing credit with the producer here, and it sounds like a compromise, and never really took off. So that's kind of where we were with that. The next record that I'm going to talk about here is number 12, 2006 Sapphire. Sapphire was, had the look to me, and when it came out, I had a CD of it. It looked to me to be almost like a secondary market thing, but it did sell well. I just didn't like the cover. I didn't think the cover was great. It was distributed by Universal. It was on Cash Money, but again, it was CD only. George Dukey's on it and Smokey Robinson. And that's what's surprising about it is it starts out with two Smokey songs, which really is kind of surprising. Her writing is limited a good bit. There's a bunch of songs here that she had no part in writing. Of course, Sleeping with the Enemy with Doug Grigsby again. But, Corrupt wrote Baby Whose Is It? She did Make It Hot. Make It Hot was decent here. And Sapphire Resilient with George Duke there, at the end. But again, a very long record, one of these long records from 2006. I think it's too long. I think if it would have been trimmed down, it would have been a lot more efficient. It got B's kind of grade from that. I wouldn't quite go that far, but it's not bad, but it slipped from what the standard I think was, when the other records that she did. Let's go on now to number 11. I do have a copy of this on vinyl. I don't have all of them on vinyl, but I do have this. This was available in a limited edition. We're talking about Ivory. And this is the last record for CBS. This is the one that really did not do well, which led her to dismissal here. I think the back cover is beautiful. It essentially, Sugar Shack, If I Rebel, Just Us Two. All songs written, arranged, and produced by Tina here. It was her thing, and it was to her godmother that she had here, and she talked about the Psalm 91 here, Miracle Needs Wing to Fly. A very heartfelt record, but not a record that sounded like it was more of an artistic thing with her, and she was prone to that a couple of times. She had this record, and then she ended up, and you go out and see her live on this tour, you're still going to see the same fire it up. She's still going to knock it out. But this record was kind of more of a conceptual thing and more kind of about, who she is and kind of a discussion through her relationship, I think, through African American culture, and I just think it's. I like it a lot. I just think, as far as cohesion with it, I don't think it's as strong as some of the other records, but at the same time, uh, it's. It's a shame that they had to go out this in 1990, because it's definitely supposed to be dance pop. Just us two, here's looking at you, but it's a little bit raw, and I just don't think that they were ready for it. And I think when it came out, it didn't get the great reception that it should have. It was kind of middle of the road, and so with that happening, CBS, with the history, and we'll talk about that here in a minute, wasn't ready to jump on it. Now we're going to move back here a little bit, and you're going to probably be very surprised at the number that I have for here for this next one. But for this next record, I have number 10 here. I have, and let's see, hold on a second. I get it out of the right order here. I have the disappointing to me record, Robbery. I just find it to be. I remember when it came out. I remember that it started off selling well, did not sustain. I think they thought it was. Robbery was somewhat of a. I don't know. They didn't like the something about it. It didn't stack up. It sounded too. I don't know if you want to talk about Michael Jackson-ish or something of a change, but this was a move to CBS Records from Gordy Records, and shadow boxing. It's a little bit fixed. It's maybe a little bit Casanova Brown. It's maybe a little bit pop oriented and not enough R&B oriented to really make it happen. And that's at least my thought on it. It never stuck as much. The songs weren't as good. I don't know if the production wasn't as good, but there was a lot of drama going, leaving from Columbia Records, and next thing you know, boom, there it was. Let's go now to 1986, another big experiment. It's rock and roll time with Tina. They're called Emerald City. Has anybody heard this record? I remember this record came out. I played it a lot in the store because it was just so different. I was just so surprised that she took this kind of a move. But it is definitely guitar heavy. And Emerald City, Once Is Not Enough, Lips to Find You, You So Heavy, Shangri-La, remember that? Yeah, Love One Down Easy, and Sunny Skies. This is a complete Tina Marie thing. This is her thing. This is really her laying it down and trying something completely different. This record, I remember at the time, people that had been into Star Child, and they were waiting for something else to follow up with that, and it was not what they thought. People did not dig it. They Shangri-La was released, but and you've got actually Stevie Ray Vaughan playing on this, so it just shows you how it is. But Lips to Find You, Love Me Down Easy, we're okay, but it's really more of a rock thing here, and people didn't like it, man. They didn't like it, and it critically got slammed pretty bad. I don't think it's that bad. I used to play it. We sold some of it, but it was a market surprisingly let down. And the funny thing of it is, Robbery was a little bit of, even though it sold better than that, Robbery was a little bit of a letdown to them, because I worked in some of the R&B stores in Washington D.C. at the time, and that one was definitely not, almost dead on arrival when it happened. We're going to go to number 8, and number 8, I'm going to go to one of the more modern ones here. I'm going to go to Ladonia, and Ladonia was released after the Ivory thing had happened, and then Passion Play happened. It was 2004. It was 10 years. It was the first one really back after the Fugees had a hit with the song From Naked to the World, which we'll talk about this soon. And this came back pretty good, uh, leadoff single, Still in Love, which has an Al Green sample and a lot of hip hop flavor in it. People were really surprised. Again, though, it's a 77-minute record. It's a little long. It's a little too much. Gerald Levert, a nice duet on this. Birdman, MC Light. I think it's so strong as a record. I'm still going to think it this high. I think clearly some of her later work, even though it's not on vinyl, is clearly some of her better stuff. And I'm kind of predicated to early stuff to vinyl, but I'm telling you the truth. This is a concept record. You've got some covers here on this record, but for the most part, I'm on fire, Black Rain. And Black Rain, I think, was taken from one of the earlier demos that was floating out there. I got you. That is, Rick comes back in and they do that and they kick it off good. But they really didn't need it. I mean, it was by that time, a lot of stuff had happened with him. But a rose is a rose by any name with Gerald Levert. That was the big thing. So yeah, that's 2004 Cash Money Records, distributed by Universal. Fantastic. Now let's go to the next record that we're talking about, and we're talking about here. Hold on a second here. The big hit. Everybody's surprised I'm probably going to be this here. But let's go to 1984, and I just want to be your lover girl. It's just, this is the one where a lot of people, it just blew them away. This is where it all came together. Where Robbery was kind of a hit or miss thing. This one here was the one where it pretty much all came together for her. This was her biggest one. And I think that if truth be told, I think Epic Records and the Soul Division really wanted her to continue with this. If she would have continued with this kind of situation. 45-minute record, not too long. Vocal power on it, just astonishing. Lover Girl, Out on a Limb, Jammin', Star Child, the track. But they've got My Dear Mr. Gay. To me is a little bit, I like it. It's got the Leon Ware to it, which is great. It's got the Leon Ware touch to it. And I love that era of him, that sexual era of it. Like, I want you. Let's get it on and so on stuff. But Jammin', yeah, this is a really strong record, a good dance record. Musically, I think she made better records as far as substantively goes. But I mean, as far as hitting all the bases for what her crowd was and what the people knew for her, and as far as providing a stable for her live shows forever, with those songs, that was a pretty big one. Now we're going to go now to probably the last modern one that we're going to talk about, and this is going to be 2009, and we're talking about the let me get it up here. We're talking about the great release on Stax Records, actually, Conga Square, which on 2009, which is the 13th and her last record, released on June 9th, 2009, would be the only album for Stax and her last record before her death. And unfortunately, her death, we talked about that, her being hit, happened in 2010. This was number 4 on the U.S. R&B records when it came out. Can't Last a Day, duet with Faith Evans. Stuff starting like this. Aaliyah Rose, MC Light, George Duke's on it again, heavy duty, Shirley Murdoch. But the Conga Square, you're talking about, the area in New Orleans where the slaves were allowed to have their stuff. I think it was a strong record. I think it's strong. It got good reviews. There was a little bit of a, with Stax at the time, reorganization, everything. There was a little bit of a problem with getting it going, but the pressure was the big one. Again, it's a long record, but I'm not holding against it here. The Rose and Thorn, the closer is really good. The Shirley Murdoch song's good. Conga Square, the title track's got the George Duke stuff on it. Then you can tell it's the Dookie, man. It's really, really good. But I mean, her voice is so strong at this point. You baby, marry me. I think the Howard Hewitt thing on this. I think this is, of all the modern ones, this is by far her strongest one. And why it's not on vinyl, I have no clue. I guess she died not long after that, but this actually made the top 20 in the U.S. Billboard, believe it or not. So it was one of the strongest one. Ended up being top 4 on the chart in hip hop, R&B. So Yeah, Can't Last a Day was the Faith Evans song, was actually a hit. And you know, you baby too. So, but anyway, I think it's great. Let's go next to the next one, and this is where we are ready for the debut, Wild and Peaceful. What I'm gonna do? I got to put it somewhere, man. I mean, this is from here on in. This stuff is wicked. I mean, this is to me is her peak stuff. You know, I'm a sucker for your love, of course. It's kind of an EP with when you've got this. You got the stuff with I've been here before, Deja Vu, Rick James. I can't love anymore. So there's really turning me on. There's really 3 or 4 Rick James songs in this, and this was really her thing. Rick was in charge. Rick kind of came in, thought she was really talented. They started. I guess they said they had a relationship for a while. Who knows? Didn't last forever. Didn't last long. She wanted out of it, from what I understand. You know, he was a philanderer, and you know you understand that he's a rock star, and with Rick James, who he's produced and Chappelle and all that. My God! But anyway, great strong record. Yeah, Smokey song "Don't Look Back," of course, is on it. What a great debut! What a promising debut! But what a talent! And it's funny, no picture on the front. Everybody thought she was black. That's why they did that. They didn't want to put that on the front. You believe this? This is a Tina Marie cover. There's nothing but just the sky. It's kind of funny to me. Let's get down to number 3 here. Let's get down to actually. Hold on a second here. Number 4. What am I talking about? We're not at number 4. Wild and Peaceful was number 5 from '79. This is hard, man, from here on out. These two are both released the same year. What am I going to say? Let's go 1980. Let's go Lady T. Lady T, of course, was stunning. This record came out. You see her, and behind the groove, you're all the boogie I need. Why did I fall in love with you? And she just got this look on the back, produced by Richard Rudolph. Um, I think this record, I think the next one just is a little bit better, but this is where it really catches fire. Aladdin's Lamp. You got to just put this on and just let it fly. The production, it might not be the ideal production, but it's headed in a way here differently. This is kind of trying to ply away, see how she works with somebody else. This is the record that was done again in 1980. So this is in her second year. And by God, even she comes and returns with the second record from the same deal. And this is Irons in the Fire, Kid. Irons in the Fire, Kid. This is her deal, man. Written and produced by Tina Marie. This is where things start to really work. And, you know, sales wise, I don't know how this was, but to me, this is where you get the truth. I need your love and first class love. Irons in the fire. You make love like springtime. You make love like springtime. You know, the way it dominates that second side. Chains to tune in tomorrow. I mean, this is a concept record. It says Lady T in the back. I mean, 2 of these records in 1 year. Except this is her baby. Written and produced by Tina Marie. This is the first one. Knockout, kids, knockout. This is one everybody should have. Yeah, clearly, I think this is. No, this is number 3. Lady T is number 4. I think Lady T is a step behind. It's because of the production and the way this is. But this, to me, is the thing. Let's see what it says. See if it says anything here interesting. I don't think it's going to, but I'll tell you. When the first records came, and I guess what happened, you know, with Gordy Records, like anything else, you know, where's the money? You know, you say I'm a star, you say I'm selling these records, where's my money? And you know, what's going to happen here? And Irons in the Fire came, and they were like, well, where is it? And it didn't happen. So what do we have next? Well, we've got next the surprise. To me, this is a surprise, and I think this is a super strong record at the most unlikely time on earth. I'm talking about Naked to the World. This is a record that was released in 1988. This is a time when music probably is more mechanized, more whatever you want to say, but this is again a Lady T production, and she decides to take control of this thing. Trick Bag, Call Me, Ooh La La La, and Ooh La 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 would make her a ton of money through the Fugees, and that's what happened. Opus 3, the second movement, I love the first side. I think the second side is great too. I just think this is a great concept album, and it's a great record to listen to from start to end. I really think it all comes together now. And I don't hear that from a lot of people. I don't hear a lot of people say that. But I really think this record at this juncture of her career, even though it didn't sell, and I think Ivory was the one probably that they were, this is probably so artistically so strong, and it really was, that at least the insiders inside the industry, if it didn't sell and it was due more towards a middle age, edging towards a middle-aged crowd, but she was on fire still when she was doing Conga Square, so towards the end of her death. And number one, of course, let's go to the last one, 1981. Let's go to the one that really pissed her off and really caused a lot of trouble, but is a absolute stone masterpiece. It Must Be Maggie. Revolution, Worst California, Does Anybody Care, Square Biz, Cradle, Robin Me, Portuguese Love, oh my God. Yes, indeed. Yeah, this is produced and written by Tina completely. You got the picture of the keys on back in the deal, but that's not really what we're talking about here. We're talking about just hanging together here. Square Biz, Portuguese Love, which is the best. Ballad of Cradle, Robin, Me, Tina, and Jill. Yes, indeed, her. The musicians, she's playing a lot of stuff. Keyboard, Scott Marcus, synthesizers, guitar, drums, bass. I mean, you've got Paul Hines. You've got a great horn section. And what are you going to do here? I mean, this is just her. It Must Be Magic. Opus 3, Does Anybody Care? Yeah, look, that's why I like the first side. Look, because it's completely her, completely written by her. Look, man, this is as good as it gets. This is, unfortunately, I don't think, totally on a standard R&B where everybody was at the time. It would be the time. But look at this, man. Look what I got, buddy. I got a Gordy DJ Comedy. I love this record, and I love her voice, and especially love this record. This is probably my favorite record. Well, it is. I would say it's my favorite vocal record of the 80s. Close to it here. I mean, this is 81, and I don't think it ever got better. I don't think her voice got better. I don't think the time got better. And after this stuff came, a little bit changed. I think she reached her peak here as far as writing. I think after that, there were other interests at play. She was a star. They were trying to make money. And at this point, It Must Be Magic is not the most commercial thing she could possibly do. But it's the most artistic, best thing she could do. And after this, she would ply herself away through Gordy. It would take 3 years and end up then with Robbery. Come back then in 2 years, I guess, with Robbery, which is a little strained, as we said, from that. But move on from that. Truly one of the great voices, guys. Truly one of the great voices of the 80s, guys and gals. Leave your thoughts on Tina below. Leave your list below there. Please hit the like button and tell us where we're wrong, or tell us where you agree. We love having you around here, man. Thanks a lot for this. And this is one of my favorite singers, of course, from the 80s tonight, Tina Marie. And we'll follow up with the Tina Marie song list here before too long. Thank you very much. Have a good evening, y'all.
Somebody has to pray, 'cause somebody's wanting to be something.